We are live with what you getting into, boy? My name is Dion.
And I
That
am PK.
yeah, that's your time to introduce yourself. So we've been, hanging out for years, just finally decided to get into a podcast because we've known each other since Gangnam Style, before Gangnam Style, actually.
Yeah, man, 2011. It's a whole decade. I just realized, bro. A whole decade.
Yeah, man, like lots. Man, I was like 18 in 2011. I had a 94 Toyota Corolla, and I was on top of the road, man. Nothing hurt me yet. Fell off vehicles and stuff and survived.
Yeah, you came a long way, man. Like
Yeah,
it's
man. Not out here dying anymore, man. Like if I'm sleep wrong, like it's gonna hurt. Like, and I fell off a vehicle, got up and just kept walking. That youth, man.
Tell us about the time you fell off a vehicle because I was there.
Yeah, you were there. You could tell me about it from your perspectives. Like what were you thinking at that time?
First of all, for the people who don't know, you have to understand kind of a backstory. We went to college in Southern Indiana, where we're around a lot of like small town kids. The whole population is about 2,000 people, and they do a lot of dumb things. So in this case, I was driving with my one of my roommates at the time, who had a huge truck because Southern Indiana, and Dion climbed on because he stopped, and then this guy keeps going, and then just floors the gas pedal out of nowhere, and I'm sitting in the passenger seat like, what the fuck is this really happening right now? And then I see Dion jump off, and then I hear the person driving the car, I don't know if I should say his name, slow down, get out and go, Dion, Dion, are you okay? And I'm sitting there the whole time, like, I literally saw this. I saw the foreshadowing happen. Like, I've had a friend back where I'm from who kind of a similar thing. He was riding on a car, fell off, and that dude was in a coma for like 6 months. So I never ever is that a good idea, but for some reason you hopped on the car. He thought it was a good idea to floor it, and you were unhurt for the most part, if I
Yeah,
recall correctly.
facts, man. Like, so I was not expecting this dude to take off, and at first, like, it was fun. 'Cause, like, he was just going like 5 miles per hour. So it's like, whatever. But then this man started speeding. I was like, bro, let me just jump off before I fly off. And I tried to run with it, but like, yeah, I didn't know about your boy in a coma. That's pretty sad. But like, yeah, like I'm glad I did survive that one. Cause like, no, as I said, just got up and just walked off with it.
Yeah, cars are extremely dangerous. I've already totaled one of them in my life, and I just screwed up my other one not too long ago.
And
Now,
you remember you were driving that one vehicle? What year was it and what model was it?
it was a 1994 Oldsmobile Trofeo,
That thing was
hands
a
down.
1994, bro.
Yeah,
Damn, I thought that was from the 80s. It smelled like the fucking 80s, man.
bro,
It
don't
had
even be started on your car.
it smelled like so weird. Like it smelled like I don't know. It was like especially when the heat came on, bro. That was like dust that like doesn't exist anymore that we were smelling in that car.
Hey, it was a vehicle, and I wasn't even planning on having a car on campus, but apparently, once again, small town Indiana people who drive to school when they're 14 years old, everyone had cars. So I was
Yeah,
like, I
man.
need to get
Everybody
a
went
car.
home on weekends too. That was the weirdest thing. Was like everybody going home on weekends. Like you're
That was
driving
super
three
weird.
hours home. Like you're driving 3 hours to go home instead of just like hanging out with the boys and stuff. Like that's
Or even 1 hour, or even a half hour. I That's what I didn't understand. Like I literally chose Southern Indiana to get away from my hometown, from my family, because I wanted to experience life out there on my own. Yet I get out there, everyone gets homesick and they want to
yeah.
go back home. And like,
Yeah,
really?
I chose like the furthest college in state that's had in-state tuition, and like I was from like tip to tip in Indiana, like touching Michigan up there, touching Kentucky down there, and like I think only like two people from my high school ever even like went out there. So like, yeah, I didn't know anybody down there. Just had to punch it in, thrive.
Yeah, we definitely met some characters there as well.
Yeah,
So
man. I never met any small town, I'm not gonna call them Amish, but they're basically small town people. I remember I went up to one dude's town though, and like they just had like, so you know, like how some small towns just have a random ass rich dude and stuff. So we went to like that guy's house, and it was just like, what is this man doing in this state with this house? Like he had like a bowling alley, a movie theater, and stuff downstairs. He's like, yeah, my dad's a dentist. Like, I mean, this is not dentist money. This is not small town dentist money. What is he doing? Like it didn't make any sense.
Not at all. And yeah, well, you have to remember it's cheap as hell to live in those places, which is why.
I mean, that's still like, unless he like made that dentist money somewhere else and then decided to come over. But like, yeah, it's like,
Well, he's also probably a boomer, so he had his social security income on top of his dentist income. He may have had a rental property. He might have had some investment portfolios or other BS.
yeah, man.
Usually, people that are that wealthy have multiple sources of income, and I mean that dude's house was probably under 500,000, but a $500,000 house out there is like a mansion. So,
Yo, yeah, all those like, was it Brownville, Indiana, or something like that? Like, yeah, they were.
yeah, Brownsville, where it's nothing but a gravel road.
Oh, not that one. Not Brownsville. What's the one near Indianapolis? Like, there's like Neighborville or something.
Shelbyville.
Not that one either. That's not a rich town. I drove through there one time and I was like, ew.
The only rich town that I know of around Indianapolis is Carmel, Indiana. No one from.
Oh, Brownsville, right? There's this one.
You talking about Brownsburg?
Maybe, I don't know. Isn't it near Carmel?
Not really. So Carmel is north of Indianapolis. Brownsburg is to the west.
Word. Yeah. Well, Carmel is. I
I'll
mean,
pull up a map here. You have all these small towns.
They had some decent restaurants in Carmel. I don't see the appeal of it. Okay, it's
Carmel's one of the richest per capita places in the United States. So
look at me. I know Indiana facts.
Well, Carmel. The thing is about Carmel, the average household income is 150K, and they also are so rich they decided, hey, let's get rid of all the stoplights and replace them with roundabouts, which actually didn't turn out that bad of an idea, but it's still just a weird place to be through. And the town completely shuts down at like 9 p.m. People go to sleep super early. So
I mean, they got work to do and stuff. That's how it should be. You can't be out here, going to Dairy Queen at 10 p.m. Go to sleep. Go to work. Oh, ice cream eating 10 p.m. So.
All right. So I'm looking at these places around Indiana. There is a Bargersville. There's Morgantown. What's the name of the person that you're trying to figure out the towns from? If you don't want to say their name, you can give me the first letter. I'll probably be able to.
I don't even know. Like, I just thought there was another city called Brownsville or Brownsburg, but heck if I know. I'm just naming like rich cities in Indiana.
I'll see if there's a Brownsburg.
Man, it's not that important to the conversation. I forgot where it was even going with it, but yeah, Indiana's crazy, and then we both had to get the hell out of Indiana. Like, I'm not going back. You going back?
Yeah, never, absolutely not. I would no. Like I can't think of a scenario that would lead me back there. Like, even if something happened to my parents, I'd go back for a little bit, then I'd come right back here.
Yeah, it would be like rock bottom me going back. Like I would have to lose everything and have to like move back home or something like that. But even like when I dropped out of college, I didn't move back home. I was like, nah, I'm gonna just ride it out on this couch.
Yeah, I had to get out of Indiana so bad, and I couldn't find a way to escape. And then one day I just decided, F it. I'm just going to use all my savings and just get out. And that's what I did. So it's beneficial for just as general advice. It's beneficial to leave your hometown that you grew up in, because you will start a path of maturity and growth that no one else would experience. But on top of that, Indiana is just boring. Outside of Indianapolis, I'll go on record saying that everything else surrounding it in the entire state sucks. It's a bunch of racist, conservative people, and it's a very backward state. I don't understand why you'd want to live there unless you are, very conservative and probably a little bit racist.
No, that's funny because like I saw like so many people that we used to hang out with back in the day, like on Facebook and stuff over the last year, and it's like damn, you're kind of a racist, like just kind of weird, like just saying things that don't make sense. Like I saw like, someone's like, if you just comply with the police, nothing's gonna happen. Like,
Oh my
what?
god,
Like
I hate
that,
that.
that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Like, if you just comply, nothing's gonna happen. Like, okay, your experience doesn't make the experience of the world. Like, okay, like you may know like some outliers that nothing's happened to, but like there's a lot of people who like things have happened to. Like, what is you talking about?
I agree. And for me, when I growing up in Indianapolis, I was used to being surrounded by majority like African American people in my community, in my school, like my high school, 3,000 students, roughly just shy of 2,000 were black. So I kind of grew up very naively thinking, okay, the world's just kind of this United States is this huge melting pot where people are all getting along with these different races, ethnicities, and all that. And then I actually get out, visit Southern Indiana, and I realize, no, that's not the case. People outside of Indianapolis are very ignorant to what goes on in a lot of these social and racial issues. And yeah, when they speak on this sort of thing and they're clearly ignorant on the whole topic, it just makes you shake your head because you can't put yourself in someone else's shoes and you know state what I would have done this if I were this person. That's so naive. So I guess my first experience with that had to come around the time when the Trayvon Martin shooting happened. Never in my life have I heard so many people just blatantly say, "Oh, you know what? He was a bad person. He was, trespassing. He was this, and that." And if you actually read into it, the kid was innocent entirely, and the fact that people were not, didn't see an issue with that was just so troubling to me, in my opinion. And obviously, we've had a lot of situations since then, and I know throughout the American history there's been situations like that, but that was the first time that
Yeah, that was one of the first like viral like killings where it was just like,
yes.
uh where's it gonna go? And then he ended up being innocent, which happened in Florida. I'm in Florida right now. That's kind of troubling to me because I always thought Florida was like growing up in Indiana, you think Florida's like a little paradise place or whatever. Like that's where everybody goes on vacation. Like, no, Florida's the South and racist. Like it's still the same. But yeah, like Trayvon Martin was walking back from a store and got followed, and the dude ended up calling the cops. The cops told him to leave him alone, and then he still started to fight with this guy. And then, of course, he was one of those like Billy badass guys who had a gun on him. So of course he thought he was tough, and Trayvon Martin fought him. And then like he was losing that fight, like, and that's when he shot him. But
Mhm.
like no, like you picked a fight hand to hand with a child, basically, who was walking back from the store with some Skittles, and then you lost that fight that you picked, and then you shot him, and like he was legal for that. Like that's nutty to me. Like it wouldn't. Yeah, I'm not gonna say it wouldn't happen in any other situation, but like to speak on it, like those are the facts. And then like you're like because he was black and because he was into this scene, that scene. Like no, like he would have been fine just going back to his house. Like he wasn't doing anything illegal.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's been situations since then that have people are getting the same sort of response. And it's in my opinion, it's gotten worse. Like the George Floyd killing, for example, people are quick to bring up that George Floyd had a previous record. He was on drugs. None of that's important. I mean, they're trying to justify the reasoning why an innocent black man was tortured, in my opinion, and brutally killed. Um, I mean, even if you get the death penalty, they're not going to suffocate you. They're not going to, put their put their knee into your neck and cut off your artery, cut off your supply of oxygen. So, and people want to come around and say, "Oh, he was on drugs. He was committing a crime." That does not justify death. So, it's I'm alarmed to see the amount of people that don't see an issue with how the officer handled it,
Yeah,
or
they're just bringing up like random facts that don't make sense, and like okay, he was this person, but in our justice system, like okay, 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago, maybe you could execute like that. But now in our justice system, and we're saying everybody's created equal, everybody, has equal treatment, equal due process. And then like we see that that's eradicated in the street. Like it's not there. Like, and we all saw it on video, like this guy four cops on his body, so he was already down. Like, what is the purpose of putting your knee on his neck besides to inflict pain? And then like you killed the man, so like of course like you're everything happened, but like if this man survived, like he just would have put his knee on his neck for 4 minutes, and that's just he would have gone about his day.
Yeah, and I think the most alarming thing, in my opinion, is around the country there were these protests, and I even myself participated in one of them.
I did not. Hell no.
Well, I did just because
There's no goddamn way I'm going after what happened in the 60s. Nope.
Well, I guess it's a little bit different with me, just because it sucks to say this, it really does, but our races have a lot to do with it, because minorities are targeted unfairly by law enforcement nationwide. But I went out and I still protested because it's my right to do so as an American. I stood up for what I believed in. I didn't do their go it for multiple days or stay up there for hours at a time. I just went out, showed my support, that sort of thing. And even with that, there were here in the city I'm living in, someone lost an eye because of I forgot what happened necessarily, but it was something that the police started, and they were throwing.
Didn't they shoot like a beanbag or something like that, or?
Yeah, they would get out rubber bullets and shoot people, throw tear gas, all that sort of thing. Yet, conversely, you take it where a bunch of people who are Trump supporters can storm the nation's capital, do worse with the whole rioting, the whole looting.
Yeah, still the speaker's podium and like flex with it. Like that was the weirdest thing. Still in the podium, like they can get a new one in 2 days. Like what are you doing?
Was it one casualty of
someone died. Someone got shot, and then a couple cops have died.
And I don't want to get too political with this. I know we have to keep it professional, but if you do not see the glaring, I don't even know what the right word for it. I don't want to say discrepancies.
Irony, almost. I guess irony is kind of a joke, but like, yeah, it's definitely a discrepancy in how certain demographics are treated, and it's always has been. And like we're trying to talk around it, and like the people are still defending it. They're like, yo, you just want these people to be held down at this point. Like at this point, like one of these guys I worked with for years, I was cool with them, went to his house and stuff. But I remember in 2016 when Black Lives Matter and All Lives Matter, like he kept saying All Lives Matter, there, and he would show us like back in those days they used to have those YouTube pranks, and they'd be like, oh, all these black people are like beating up a car that has Trump stickers on it, and then like it ended up being like they were hiring those people and stuff like that. So like he was watching videos like that, just getting like crafted, like, oh, all these people were bad, blah blah blah. And like even now today, like I just finally deleted him because he was just like still talking about Colin Kaepernick, like, and I think it was to do with the Star Wars girl getting fired. Like she got fired for saying whatever. I don't really even pay attention anymore, but she got fired for that. And this man's still talking about Colin Kaepernick. Like what is Colin Kaepernick even doing in 2021? Like that should not even be in your repertoire of conversations. But like, yeah, like they are still mad about certain things. Like, yeah, Trayvon Martin, OJ, like the racists, like they have all these things of like, this is the reason, blah, blah, blah. Like, no, that's a outlier. That is another, Yeah, it's a big tangent.
The whole thing about Kaepernick I never understood why that was an uproar. The guy's protesting. He has the right to do so. You might not agree with it, but that doesn't make it wrong.
Yeah.
And people made a huge deal about it. And there's other NFL players that say, oh, I have, a family member serving. And one of the linemen from, I think, the Pittsburgh Steelers is a former Army vet. He would always stand. Yet there's been actual veterans themselves, like there was a former Green Beret in the Army. We came up publicly and said that he has no issue with Kaepernick doing what he's doing.
Yeah, I mean, I was in the military, and most people don't. Like, okay. So at 4:30 every day, the national anthem comes on. If you're called outside, you have to, stand there at attention and then like salute and everything. Yo, at 4:28, people are dipping. Like they're to their car, to the building. They're not walking out the building. Like nobody wants to be caught in that. Like nobody's like, all right, it's getting to be 4:30. Let's all go step outside and salute as a whole base. Absolutely not. So if anybody, even in the military, to try to bring that up, like, No, you don't even really respect the national anthem if you're going to run from it, which again, probably shouldn't say, but yeah, a lot of people like, yeah, like you're creating a double standard over nothing. And like, what did he do besides create awareness for the issues that he wanted to create awareness for? Like, it's not like he's like saying anything negative towards the military by doing that at all. But yeah, there's a player in the Miami Heat who was still standing from the national anthem. Then the other day, do you hear about that, Myers Leonard?
Yep, he said a very racially derogatory term towards Jewish people. I did hear that.
Yeah, like it's like the writing was on the wall already. Like your whole team is kneeling in solidarity, and you're just like, no. It's like, oh yeah, you're racist. All right.
You want to know what's funny about Myers Leonard? He's actually so he went to college at the University of Illinois. He also grew up in Robinson or Robbinsdale, Illinois, which is going back to our conversation earlier, another small town in the Midwest. It's I think maybe an hour inside
Yeah,
Illinois if you're coming from Indiana. So yeah, it's that small town mentality of being racist and conservative. You're born into it, and
yeah. He probably has a lot of people in his ear. Like he was never gonna be able to kneel and like go back home and stuff. Probably. Like I saw videos from like Ohio where this girl was like holding a sign that said Black Lives Matter, and like a bunch of like grown men were attacking her like in the street. Like it was like the little downtown area of a small town. So it's like, maybe like six shops and a bike shop and stuff. And like, yeah, like they're like attacking her on the main street. Like, yeah, it's bad. Like if you go back and like watch videos from like small towns during like all the protests and stuff, like, yo, it was not a good situation to be in. It was taking it back like 60 years.
yeah, it's hard to also try to understand things from their perspective because every time I've tried to have a conversation with someone um, who's very narrow-minded when it comes to politics and social issues, it's hard to have a conversation with them because they're so far right-leaning that anything that's kind of in the middle or kind of is something that you can sort of try to relate to them. No, they can't relate at all. It's either their way or you're wrong.
Yeah.
And no, I'm not saying that's the case for only people who are leaning right. There's a lot of people who lean well towards the left that are like the exact same way. They get offended by anything, for assuming one's gender, for example. And I feel like that's the wrong kind of mentality to have. You have got to have an open mind when it
Yeah.
comes to stuff like that. You have to
I
admit
tend to stay in the
yourself.
middle, and like, yeah, the left is getting really bad and the right has always been bad. It's just showing at a higher level like how bad the right is, and then the left is like is getting just as bad. Like if you they're both like on the same, if you don't think like me, you're the enemy. Like that never should be that way. Like if you don't think like
Absolutely.
me, we just agree to disagree and we can still work together and whatever we need to work towards as a society. But no, it's like a left and a right, and it's like, yo, like you guys are fighting each other in the street, trying to stamp each other's voices out. Like it's getting violent, like, thought policing, everything like that. It's getting weird. Like, have you ever read the book 1984, George Orwell?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I read
read
that in high school.
part of it, but yeah, it's like after a while, and that's where we're getting too fast. Like the movie Idiocracy and the book 1984 are like two of the like piece of media that like have really struck me in the last couple of years. Like Idiocracy was supposed to take place 500 years in the future. We're damn near already there of just people like being super stupid, like just don't know anything. Kids these days always on their phone in school, not really paying attention at all. They are not in the least bit smart anymore. Like it's like there's no scholars anymore. Like there's
Oh
no up
no,
and
not
coming
at all.
minds. Like yeah, it's really sad in that point. And then like the thought police are like Twitter. You don't get on Twitter, but my lord, is it just like if someone with a big voice says something and then like everybody's just agreeing with it. And it's like, man, there's no voice of reason anymore. Like being a voice of reason is bad now.
Exactly. And going back to your point about schooling nowadays, so I've thank God first of all that you and I are not in grade school, high school, college at this point in time
Yeah,
because it is apparently, from what I've been hearing, a disaster. They're not
absolutely.
even, they're just passing these kids. They're literally sitting down in a meeting like this. The teacher's lecturing on the little whiteboard here, and you're sitting here either taking notes, taking an exam, and they're just moving them along. Like, if you're not learning anything, well, you can't sit down with the tutor, in person. You can't stay after. This is what it is. And I've heard a lot from a couple people that, if the teaching is not nearly as effective. Part of that has to do with, yes, COVID caught everyone off guard, especially in America. But with this going on, I mean, yeah, kids are definitely falling behind nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, it was already like on a downward spiral before COVID. I'm glad you mentioned that because I do have like a couple teacher friends I talk to, and like, and I know parents too. And I think like the parents of young kids, like their kindergartners can't sit at a computer for like however many hours a day. Like
Not at all.
that's asinine to even like think that like that's a option. Like they might as well just be taught at home at that point because like their parents hopefully could teach them better. But yeah, even in the higher levels, like you're in a Zoom chat all day. Like if I wasn't in a Zoom chat one-on-one with you, like if I'm in a Zoom chat that's like 80 people wide, like I'm not going to be paying attention that much as I would be if like I had to. Like, okay, if I was in the room with the person, I would pay attention more than what I'm paying attention to on the TV. Like it just, that's how a human attention span works. So like,
Yeah.
to say that like someone's like actually learning anything on Zoom, I doubt it. I doubt it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to be like this until more people get vaccinated and actually can come face to face with a teacher and instructor, and it go back to the old ways. Like online learning is not as effective.
Yeah,
for
it's
younger
easier
kids.
too, because it's like, okay, if you're talking to someone, like you want them to understand it a certain way, but if you're trying to teach for a larger audience, you're trying to teach down to their level. So it's going to be way easier to like learn in any like large situation than it would be for like a smaller intimate setting, like 20 students in a classroom.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think, like, even then, I have a feeling there's a lot of professors that literally will record their lecture, and then their entire class is just based on, okay, watch this hour lecture.
Yeah.
Day 2, watch this hour lecture. Day
Probably
3,
can't ask them questions,
test.
anything like that. Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah, and then like the kids are probably scared to ask questions too. So it's just like, again, in a classroom, you can see like, in someone's eyes if you're a good teacher, who's understanding you and who's not. Like as like video teaching, like no, it's you don't have the same reading skills, anything like that in there.
I absolutely hated trying to ask questions to teachers because a lot of them, and I noticed this mainly like middle school, high school, a lot of teachers, you'd ask them a question and they'd phrase it with, I've already answered that, or were you paying attention?
Yeah.
And that kind of just, makes a little bit more insecure from asking questions and getting further help. And I dealt with that a lot. And I guess, getting to the age that I am now, it's opened my eyes a lot to working in a professional environment where I can go back and I can tell what is a good teacher and what is not a good teacher.
Yeah, and then to say that to kids is just a weird thing too. That's a bad thing about teachers. Like I respect teachers. I like teachers a lot, but there are, there's bad people in every profession. And then like there's some teachers who they're probably the only secure, they're like, in the formative years for kids, they're probably one of the only secure mentors that some of these kids have. And then like to talk to certain kids that way, to put certain kids that way, like you're with these kids for 8 hours a day and this is the example they see. Like you got to be like on your best. And yeah, I had some crazy teachers too that just, straight disrespectful, straight didn't want me to succeed. Like it's your job to make sure kids pass through here. Like there's state exams, there's everything. But like for some reason you don't like me because like I came in a certain shirt, so you're mad for the rest of the year. Like,
yeah, and I've noticed that unless it is your passion to teach and help other people, you should not be a teacher.
yeah,
There's too many teachers and professors. They go to college, they excel in their field of study, and they can't get a job doing anything other than teaching. And they don't really want to teach; they want to do something else, and they're kind of forced into it. Those people should not be teaching. I was going to say something else after that, but I forgot, so I'll come back to that. But yeah, teaching is one of those things. Unless you're passionate about helping someone, passionate about the subject, you should not be a teacher. That's just my take.
yeah. I mean, that's most jobs. You shouldn't be doing it, but at the same time, it pays the bills, I guess. So I understand that. Like I would work a good job that pays well and just hate it. So I definitely do understand that. But still, like I'm not gonna be the thing I don't get is being rude or catty to your customers. And as a teacher, your customer is your
Your student.
students, and then like their knowledge is like your should be some of your intrinsic reward or whatever. So like yeah, just anybody who like whenever I like come and deal with somebody and then like they're just like like okay, when you go through the airport, like I don't understand why TSA is so angry all the time. It's like bro, like you need to start applying for other jobs if you're just yelling at every third passenger who comes by. Like that's not good for you, bro. Like you know
Yeah.
that you're supposed to repeat this all day. Like, hey, put all your stuff in here. And they're just like yelling it, move along, move along. Like, dog, like relax. Like, honestly.
Yeah, TSA is not nearly as useful as they were projected to be because they started, after 9/11. Um, but that whole department, there's been investigations done where people have been able to sneak by drugs past TSA easily. They're,
Yeah, it's not hard.
yeah. So what are they really? They're truly trying to look for like weapons and all that. Yet they're making a customer experience from getting to the airport, getting on the plane, just a hassle. If you go through the little detector thing where I got to do this with your hands, and this actually happened to me 2 years ago. I had a pair of joggers and like the tip of the drawstring was metal, and I guess that came up on the thing. In 10 minutes, I had to go sit off to the side. Everyone else is going through, getting yelled at by them, like, "What's going on?" And I'm like, "I don't know." Then I had to get a pat down, and they realized, "Oh, it's just the tip of your drawstring. Tuck it in next time." And I'm like, "Really?"
Yeah, why
Like,
would you tuck in metal if like it showed up like while it's out of your pants? Like, no, like I'm good, but yeah, that's stupid.
they're not nearly as effective as they should be. Just I'm not gonna. I don't have a plan of them to improve, but what they currently are doing, they all seem like miserable people. So sorry about that.
Yeah, like there's so many of them working too. Like, and it's like, we just want to move through here faster. So if you could find some way to improve the process, like maybe have the whole thing like be a scanning machine or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, there's way too many people and they hate their jobs. Like they need some type of resources or something to like get their job to be, more enjoyable. Cause like my lord, like it's no, they're not nice people.
Well, I mean that also has to do with the fact that typically when people reach adulthood, they get hit with a reality check that what you want to do in life, your passion, or I should say even like your dream job, usually pays shit. All right, when I graduated college, I wanted to be a news reporter on a TV station, and those jobs are hard to find, and the pay is terrible. I actually sat down with a news reporter who some guy he used to. I think it was a Zoom call like this. The dude lived in California, and now he's like in Mississippi or whatever. And at the time, I had my old job in Indy where I was making decent money, but it was a job I hated. And he asked me, he was like, "Let me ask you this: Do you make over $40,000 a year?" I was like, "Yeah, barely." And he said, "Well, you will never make that kind of money doing this." And he said, "The average income is $25,000 a year." And I was like, "Oh." Reality hit me, and I realized I can't do my dream job. It's going to pay shit. So TSA probably pays a decent wage, I'm
Yeah,
guessing,
probably got
a,
some
a,
federal
a,
benefits too.
a livable wage.
Yeah,
Exactly. And that's why people are kind of geared towards their jobs. They let their passions and dreams die for a better paycheck.
for those benefits in the future. That's the same thing with the military. Like, I understand that if you do 20 years, you'll get this pension stuff in the end, but it wasn't worth it to me for 20 years. Like I did my time and I got out, and that should be, good enough for everybody. But on my way out, like it was even like people were mad at other people who don't decide to like, just sow oats somewhere, just like, oh, I work at this job now. Like I know people who, not to talk down on them or anything, but they've been working at McDonald's since I was working at McDonald's. Like that was 10, 11 years ago. It's like, all right, I understand. Okay, it may be hard to find a new job, but in 10 years, like, no, you should be progressing as an adult. You should always try and progress. If you're an employee today, you want to be a manager tomorrow type deal. Like I see people who just like just stick their feet in the sand and just don't go anymore.
Yeah, and it's usually some people who will find a job that is paying them decently. They just become too complacent. At the last place I worked at when I was living in Indiana, there were people that were working at this job before I was even born, because this company will base their benefits, their pay on tenureship. So I'd be sitting next to a person who's been working there 20 years, and I worked there for about a year and a half. We were doing the same work, same amount of production. I'd be busting my butt to maybe break 14 an hour. Person next to me is getting $27 an hour. And I feel like I would outwork them. They'd still be making nearly double what I'm making every hour. And it's really discouraging. So rather than me saying, I'm just going to duke it out for the next 20 years, I decided, screw that. You have to know your worth and move on.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people don't know their worth, and I don't know.
Yeah, you gain a lot of skills by being at the bottom in organizations like that. Because that's, again, like same thing I dealt with. Like there'd be someone who just been there longer, so of course they make more money and stuff. And then like the the point where like I really realized was like this guy used to always come to our office every day and just talk. I really wonder like, what do you have going on? And then like I went over to his office for him to show me something, and like he had his email client up. I'm like, you've only gotten 4 emails this whole day, and it's like 2 p.m. Like no one's even looking for you. Like what is it that you do all day? And I just realized like, yeah, like I could just like imagine like me spending the next 14 years like trying to serve and like help these people who, yeah, like this is what I have to look forward to, just having nothing to do all day.
Yeah. I don't know of too many people that have spent all 20 years in the military, but I'm guessing if you do end up doing that, you collect your double retirement.
Yeah, you get like 20 years. There's a certain percentage you get. Like I think you get like 50% of your paycheck after 20 years, and then if you do 30 years, which is the max, they'll kick you out after 30. But yeah, you get a certain more percentage, and then you also get what?
I think our connections were off for a second.
Well, yeah, you get like disability too. If like, well, you can get disability, so like you can get a lot of money if you do 20 years, as well as like get out with disability. So a lot of people, even if they get out in less than 20 years, disability pays a lot as far as like the VA and all that.
Yeah, I feel like you have to have some. I don't even know how to explain it. I mean, some people are so gung ho on military, will join right after high school, swear in, and that's their life.
Yeah,
and hey, if that's their passion, go for it.
I've seen it break people though, like certain people who are like really gung ho come in and then like they're done after a couple years. I've seen people like come in bad as heck and then just switch, like just the idea of 20 years, but it's like 20 years of security. You have a pretty secure job. It's hard to get fired unless you do something like super bad that you're gonna long get fired from any other job. So yeah, like it's the security definitely is something that people look for. And it's like you can be secure or you could, go off and like try something new and thrive. That's what we're doing here, right here at this podcast, bro. Like we about to go up.
Yeah, exactly, man. We have to think about getting guests on here sometime, but they have to be interesting guests that have a story to tell.
We need to get someone to like call into the podcast. Like that's how people are blowing up now. It's like eventually people are going to get bored of what we say and what we're talking about. We don't have that many life stories. Like I got a couple, but like we don't have that many. So you get some more people to call in.
The most successful podcasts have good guests. If you look at Joe Rogan, he's had everyone from trash. What are you talking, dude? He has the most successful podcast in the world.
Kevin Samuels is coming up, boy.
Joe Rogan will have guys from Wiz Khalifa to Bernie Sanders to Ben Shapiro to Mike Tyson.
You really named Ben Shapiro.
Look at all the guests that he has. He has
he's had a lot of people. Yeah, he does get a lot of people, but he's also like he's not a very educated person. Like, and it's very apparent.
He's not, and I think he knows that he's not the smartest guy. Like, you're not going to go to Joe Rogan has good life advice, but I'm not gonna, ask him for his opinion on anything socio and economically related. But he has guests come on and he lets them talk, share their story, share what they have to say. So you have to have a good guest, and you have to really dive in to their psyche and have them express, what they want to say. Another good example is All the Smoke podcast with Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson. Two former players. They have nothing to prove to anyone. They're just chilling around. We'll have Kobe, J.R. Smith, whoever on.
Yeah, I like podcasts like that. Like No Jumper's pretty good. They've had some good podcasts too. Yeah, podcasting's coming up right now. You gotta get up on this.
You gotta work on finding a good guest. So
nah, man, we need to get a call line and just let people call in, ask them what they're doing this weekend. Just let them to start a conversation. You gotta take it past small talk. So, like, okay, when I was in Colorado, I had reservations at this restaurant, and then we didn't make the reservation. So I called back and I was like, "Hey, can I make a reservation?" Like, we don't take reservations. I was just like, "Hey, I was just there actually, and like I got to text my reservation, but we're not gonna make it." And I said that in the conversation, and she just shut down. She couldn't continue the conversation from there. And it was just like so weird. I'm like, no, you need to be able to be like, all right, yeah, you got me, but like you can come in. She was just like, I'm gonna put you on hold. Then someone else showed up to the phone. It was like, damn, like you really just wanted the conversation to end with, we don't take reservations. Then like once we got down to the nitty gritty, the nitty and the gritty.
Well, some people are afraid of confrontation. When that happens, they have that fight or flight response. And in her case, it was flight. She just shut down. She didn't want to deal with it.
Just weird. Yeah. And
I say for our first guest that we get on, we should get someone that we went to college with that is from one of those small conservative towns and get their input on the Capitol riots, George Floyd, Trayvon, Eric Gardner, Breonna Taylor, that sort of thing. So we can really try to understand from their angle and then counteract, create some controversy, get views, cash comes in.
Yeah, I don't even know or talk to any of those people anymore. Like they may, like some of the small town girls view my Snapchat stories still, which I barely even use Snapchat. But yeah, like most of them are like married with kids now, the small town conservative, and they're thriving. They're happy. Like they're at least as far as I see, like they seem to be chilling. So I see like the point of conservatism as long as like you're not racist as hell. But like, yeah.
Well, I say we should put a post on somewhere on social media and say, hey, who attended our college or grew up in this kind of town who would like to be a guest and share their experience growing up in a small knitted community where you're kind of grossly misinformed on a lot of things that happen on the outside of your bubble, I guess.
Where was that weather boy from? That boy who's posting the weather every day. That boy.
It's north of Terre Haute. I'll tell you. Hold on.
Oh my, Terre Haute. Yeah, that man was really. So we went to college with this guy, and we had this class page where everybody would, talk on it. And that's where we all made our friends before we got there. Was like this class page. It was like that was the best social network ever. Honestly, that class page. But anyway,
Covington, Indiana.
Oh, Covington. He was from where old girl was, and like, yeah, she was definitely that's the trailer town. So yeah, this dude was obsessed with just talking about the weather every day. And for some reason, like he hit gold with that one. Like everybody was like, word, this man got the weather report. Like it's just like consistency is key. Cause at first everybody was like, why is this man talking about the weather? But after a while, it's like, cool. He got the weather for us. Like, yeah, consistency. But he was also very weird in person. Like, I was like, hey man, what's up? Like, and then like he was just like standoffish. I'm like, okay, you're just gonna post the weather every day and then not be cool to talk to. All right, bet.
Yeah, it's an interesting place to grow up. They call Terre Haute the armpit of Indiana for a reason. So
yeah, produced Larry Bird, and Larry Bird was a goon, bro.
So he was actually from West Baden, French Lick area. But oh no, sorry, he did go to college in Terre Haute. That is right.
Yeah, Indiana State, boy. I almost went there, except they didn't accept me, so I didn't. I applied.
Yeah, I didn't want to go there. Too many people that I knew from high school were going to go there, and I wanted to get away from that, not be around it anymore. So,
I've never met a person who graduated from Indiana State, not one.
I don't think I have either. That's
Yeah, it's
interesting.
weird. Yeah, like I know people from like I've never seen someone wear an Indiana State hoodie, anything like that. I've seen everything besides Indiana State. Like no one reps that school. Like what's that other one? Not Valparaiso, like
Vincennes.
Vincennes. Like my that place is mad expensive. It's like a second chance university, but it's like mad expensive and it's just a weird place. So I hear I wouldn't want to go there either.
They only offer associate degrees. It's only a 2-year program.
Ugh. Why do they have a
Yeah,
campus?
good question. I don't know. It's basically like a glorified Ivy Tech.
Yeah, that place is. I looked into going there too because my brother went there, and I was like, "Yo, this place is really expensive. It's definitely a scam for like I bet their loans are very easy to get, and they put
Yeah,
you in debt. Man, nope.
yeah. That's a whole other issue. With how expensive schooling is compared to 20 years ago.
Yeah,
It's tuition prices have skyrocketed because they're allowing students to borrow more money, and schools are just deciding, if people can borrow all this money, why don't we just jack up our prices so that way we make more of a profit? And that's just, in my opinion, for the most part, not a good return on investment. You do not need college to be successful in life. Whoever disagrees, I'm sorry, you're wrong. I work with two individuals that I see every day in work. They're both under the age of 25, both dropped out of high school. They clear 10 grand a month in our line of work.
they dropped out of high school.
They
You're
dropped out
working
of
with
high
high
school.
school dropouts. That's
Well,
bad for you, buddy.
nah, so there's a lot of college graduates on my job too. There's people so I'm in sales as my career. So sales is, in my opinion, a good career to get into if you're not the smartest person, but you're hardworking. Okay,
Yeah,
you can make more money than some doctors do, and people aren't gonna believe me when I say this, but it is absolutely true. Because not everyone can be a doctor. Not everyone is that smart to go through 8 years of school, build up all this debt, turn around, make 160K a year. Whereas I work with people who dropped out of high school, found this type of work, excelled at it because it's a lot of grinding, stress inducing work, but the payout is a polar opposite of that. It makes all that work and stress worth it.
yeah, definitely.
So,
Compensation makes any job.
exactly. So, you don't need schooling if you want to be really rich, have your own house, have a brand new car, have investments.
Yeah,
I'm not saying college is useless. It is definitely advantageous, but if you're going to school, getting a liberal arts degree, and expecting to graduate and make a job where you're making above an average income, I got some news for you. That's more than likely not going to happen unless you get lucky. That's the reality.
yeah. It's just like the jobs aren't out there, and the person who is in that job has probably been homesteading in it for 40 years. So yeah, like it's you really got to do some market research for what you want to do, and then as you said, like sales is that's lucrative because it's dealing with people. Like I was just watching a thing today where they're like, cold calling doesn't work. Like cold calling didn't work, people wouldn't still do it. Like it works. Like there's still like those phone scams and stuff that's been going on. They have like whole shops of people just doing phone scams because it works. Like it you may not get like 20 people with it, like 20 out of 20 people, but okay, if you get a 3.3 batting average in the MLB, you're going to the Hall of Fame. So like, yeah,
Yeah.
like 3 out of 10 is Hall of Fame worthy. So like, if you're just doing 2 out of 10, I mean, you're pretty nice. You're pretty nice with it. So like, yeah, it's
Cold
crazy.
calling absolutely works. Have you got calls from people saying, "Hey, I just want to reach out to you, calling about your extended warranty and your car being
Yeah,
expired"? You get those?
of course.
So, is in my job, I part of my function is I have to try to sell people on warranties. And if you sell someone a warranty, that's easily anywhere from $800 to $1,000 in your pocket. So those people who are sitting in those boiler rooms on the phone all day selling those warranties, they can make 100 calls and sell 3 warranties. For 1 day of work, you just made yourself roughly $3,000. So you got to think it's a numbers game. Cold calling does work. It's not for everyone.
Yeah.
Sales isn't for everyone.
It's just a lot of rejection.
Yeah, just like labor jobs are not for everyone. A lot of people can't make it through working in an Amazon fulfillment factory. That's why they have outrageous turnover rates.
Yeah, that's basically slavery in there. Like that's something completely different. Like that's bad. How they got them pissing in trash cans and stuff if they're not moving like fast enough. If they stop for too long. But I mean, Amazon moves in a day. That's what it takes to get a company moving in a day. But it's bad on the human condition. But I mean, I have noticed that like you're different, like because you do sales now. Like when we're in Colorado, like you talk different, like interact with people in a different way. Like how has sales like changed you mentally and everything?
Oh, it changes me a lot. So I kind of had an introduction to sales when I was working at my old company in Indianapolis, but that was more of a sales customer service hybrid type job. Out here, sales has changed me because you first of all, I always quote Wolf of Wall Street on this. The scene where Matthew McConaughey sitting with Leonardo DiCaprio. How do we get paid? Commission. It's taking money out of their pocket and putting it into ours. And if you look at it from a very transparent perspective, that's literally what sales is. That's probably not, it's probably not the most appropriate way to put it, but to be blunt about it, that's how it is. So
I mean, yeah, if you get paid on commission, that does make. I've never thought of it that way. It makes sense as an analogy.
So the how you are successful in sales is number one, your customer service skills have got to be A1. If they're not, you got to fix that, because if you don't have good customer service, you will not succeed. Beyond that, you need to ask questions. You need to build value in what you are selling, and you have to overcome objections. So building value, that can take a little bit of work, but you and even asking questions, you have to be a very active listener. You have to try to never ask someone a yes or no question, because if you're getting to know someone for the first time and you ask them nothing but yes or no questions, the conversation will get dry instantly. You have to ask open-ended questions.
Man, you giving good dating advice right here too. Sales works in dating. Like, look at that. Like,
sales is a numbers game. Dating is a numbers game.
Yeah, you said build value. I've heard that one before, and not asking yes or no questions. See, like, so you're really up on game.
So really quick, my dating life didn't actually get good until I turned 25.
The same for every man, bro.
Because I was talking to multiple girls at once. And this right here is good advice, because girls do the exact same thing. Girls will talk to multiple dudes at the same time. So when you do that, you have multiple leads, and you're just looking for that one close. The more leads you have, the chances of you getting a close increases. So yes, it is a numbers game. So that is, it translates well into dating. But yeah, you're trying to build value in the product, whatever that product is, whether it's yourself in dating. Or if you're trying to sell something, you have to build a product there. Why is this person going to benefit from this? Or what does this person need, and how can I help fulfill their needs? And it's that simple, but it's not easy, because people are going to give you objections. And the key to being a good salesman, and Grant Cardone, who is a sales guru about to become a billionaire, and I could talk about him later.
I know someone who worked for him back in the day.
Yeah,
I didn't hear about him till last year, but I know someone who worked for him.
Yeah, so one of the things he preaches on is learning the difference between an objection and a complaint. People want their complaints listened to, but you are not to overcome a complaint, because you can't. If you try to overcome a complaint, they're going to take it as, you don't give you don't care what I have to say.
What do you mean by that? Like what would be a typical complaint, and how would you react to it?
So if I'm brief, I'll use my work as an example. So I have a guy who's trying to refinance his BMW. By the way, never buy a BMW. They're foreign cars. They depreciate the quickest. They're expensive to fix because they're a foreign car. But, it's a status thing. People want to drive a BMW. If they get a BMW, they get a really crappy rate. Say they get like a 17% APR, which is horrendous. That's robbery damn near. And I try to sell them a warranty. Warranties for BMWs are super expensive because they're expensive cars to fix. So I'll present that and I'll be like, hey, I got you this, and that, and I included this warranty here. This is going to cover all their costs of your vehicle. So that way, if something goes wrong, you don't have to come out of pocket and fix anything. Your savings account doesn't even need to be tapped into. And they're going to look at this like $4,000. That's outrageous. Now, is that a complaint or is it an objection? What do you think?
I would almost say it's an objection.
So what if they say $4,000? That's so expensive. What do you think that is?
That's the same thing. You just used a different word, but okay, it's a complaint now. All right.
Okay, good. That's why I said that. So to that, you go, yeah, you're right, it is expensive. But you want to know what's even more expensive? The transmission going on your BMW and you not having the money to fix it. What would you rather do? Would you rather pay $4,000 now, so when something does go wrong, you're covered, or would you rather take the risk, something goes wrong with your car? Because let's be honest, cars break, they're depreciating assets. The more miles you put on them, the more likely they are to break. And guess what? Something breaks, you now have to pay $9,000 for that repair, on top of the mechanic fees, on top of the servicing fees. So for a repair that would have cost you $30 a month for the next, however many years, you now have $9,000 that you have to come up with, or else you can't drive that car. The number one reason people default on their car loans is because something goes wrong, they can't afford to repair it. And they decide, I'm going to get rid of the car. Okay, we get rid of the car, you still have a loan that's open that you still have to pay for. So why are you going to pay for something you can't drive?
Damn.
That's how you overcome a complaint. You have to listen to them, agree with them, and then explain it further. Now, an objection would be, I don't want the warranty. And to that, I simply ask, well, why? Can you tell me why you don't want this? Oh, my car is not going to break, or I'm a good driver. Well, I mean, I'm a good driver too. I'd still have had cars break on me. Your next door neighbor's probably a good driver too. Cars are going to break. Cars nowadays have more technology in them than the first, I don't think it was Apollo 13. Whatever the first United States space program shot into the atmosphere, that had less technology than most cars on the road today. Cars are going to break.
Did not know that. That's a good fact.
So that's what it comes down to. It comes to selling. You're going to get told no a lot. You need to find out why you're being told no, and what objection can you overcome. You have to be knowledgeable on the subject, and you also have to approach it with a non-combative way of talking about it. You can't argue. You don't want to ever argue with the person. If they say no, you can't come back. Yes, you're going to get this. It doesn't work. That will just create for a hostile situation you don't want to get yourself involved in.
Yeah, and remember our hostile situation at that bar in Colorado? That lady, what was it? She was like, guess my age, and then got mad.
Oh yeah, that's just because, I think that lady was hit with the reality that she is much older than, and she's getting hit with the reality of age, I guess is the easiest way to put it. And a situation like that, I mean, she's complaining. She's not objecting to anything. So you can't really do much there. You have to just kind of listen and let her express herself.
Yeah, she yelled herself out and then just went. She was not happy though. She let it all out though. Like, it's like I'm prepubescent because I guessed her age right. Like, I'm like, wow. Like, yeah, the thing that made it funny was like, she was like, no, I'm actually this age, but I'm like, your friend didn't even react when I said it. Like, so I was definitely right. Like, she just definitely didn't even react. And then like you like reacted for a second, and then you started like, into all the other stuff. And it was like, okay, that's weird.
Yeah, that's nothing I did wrong. That was her getting hit with reality. And
it happens to me all the time though. Just like someone like, yeah, as you said, like it's cold calling and stuff, that's the same thing. I enjoy meeting new people, talking to new people. So like sometimes like I'll just talk to someone and like they just start spazzing out and you're just like, I'm not gonna argue back with you. So like you have at it for a second, and then I'm just gonna, all right, see you later.
Yeah, and the whole cold calling thing, I don't do that at my job, but that takes a very specific set of person to be able to really go through that sort of grind and get used to being hung up on, cussed out, all that sort of thing.
Yeah,
So
it makes you a stronger person. It really does. Like, I
yeah,
mean,
you learn
right
to
now
tolerate it.
I'm in like a random city, like, and, like I've done this a couple times, just gone to like random cities, and then like I'll go out, just start talking to people. You have to, like, unless I'm gonna sit in here be bored all day, I have to go find things to do, have to go interact, like have to go and like put, fire to brimstone or whatever the heck it is by going out and interacting with the world. And I think like that, I don't think I like sales or sales on commission, but yeah, I think they kind of those two skill sets kind of mesh with each other, like talking to random people and trying to sell things around people. I think it's even harder to try and sell things to them. Like me, I'm just like selling myself as a person. Like, hey, I'm a cool person to talk to, whatever. Like you're trying to get money out of their pocket, so it's a lot harder.
So everything, I have a kind of a philosophy here, and it's I don't take credit for this because I didn't come up with this, but the more you think about it, it makes sense. Everything you do in life, work related, or most of like stuff in your personal life, you're selling something. If you're not selling something, then you're doing the work for the person who is selling something.
Yeah,
Because
and you're
think
always
about
selling
it.
your time too. Your
Yeah,
time's the
so
most important asset.
think about it. For teachers, I don't understand why teachers don't do this. So a teacher is selling themselves to a school district to be employed. Okay. How much money do you think a teacher is going to make being employed by a school district as opposed to a teacher who is credited with having a degree in X, Y, and Z, having so many levels of higher education, having so many years of teaching, becoming a private tutor for either a homeschool kid or a kid who's trying to score high in his SATs, ACTs, that sort of thing? Who do you think is going to make more money? The teacher who's employed by the school, or the private educator who is getting sought after to help out people?
I would say the private educator that works hard though. Like you have to
Exactly.
actually work for it. Like you make whatever times
Exactly.
X. Like you gotta know your worth and like set your worth. But like yeah, you gotta times X. So like yeah, we keep getting back to the consistency thing, and that's the most important thing. It's just straight up consistency, apply pressure over time. Like
Yeah.
we didn't make ourselves into the person we were like at 18, 19, 20, but we also didn't like make like weird life ending mistakes at 18, 19, 20 that like, ruined our trajectory. Like, I mean, we went to college with dudes who didn't do anything the whole time they were there, went back home, and then like just like yeah, your life is exactly where where you made it to be at this age.
Yeah. I remember, going on campus talking with some people, dude, I haven't been to class in 3 weeks. I'm like, why are you here then? Like they're just mooching off that's, their munch money
Yeah,
and their room and board that they're going to have to pay, and they're getting a really crappy return on investment. So congratulations, you just paid thousands of dollars for 4 months of living amongst people that are around your age group and just goofing off. So
yeah, yeah, that was kind of me though. I had like classes before like noon, and it would be real hard for me to make it to a class before noon. I'm like, nowadays I'm like, bro, like what was I doing back then? Because like yeah, it was, I mean, being in that 18, 19-year-old mindset, you just don't really care about your future and stuff. But like I'm glad I was able to like pull it out, because honestly like yeah, like I was the same way, like not going to class for like 2, 3 days straight. Like 3 weeks is ridiculous. Like you have like 6 classes. Like you didn't go to any classes for 3 weeks. Like what the hell?
yeah, that's all people are doing. They're just sitting around, staying up late, watching Netflix, playing video games.
Yeah, because there was
Pleasure.
really nothing to do back then. Like Snapchat wasn't even out yet. Like there was no clout to be gained by doing anything besides like I don't know, doing that coning thing on YouTube. Otherwise, there was like there's no clout culture yet. So it's like, yeah, what exactly are you doing?
Yeah, I don't know. It just, you know, and that goes on another topic about I feel like kids are pushed a little bit too much to go pursue higher education when some of them shouldn't,
Yeah.
because you know if you have a passion outside of school, you don't need to go to college. But they feel all this pressure from their teachers, parents to go. They don't know what the heck they're doing, and then they end up in situations like that.
Yeah. And then like it's either like go to college or uh be famous really. That's like the only goal for a lot of people is like, okay, if I can't, get into college, I'm gonna be famous for being a rapper or something. I know like, hella people still like doing that. Like I'm like, bro, like you're still living at home. Like there's a lot of things wrong. And then like you're rapping about like a life that you don't live. Like you arguably just not even arguably, but it's just like, man, like I can't even like seriously listen to your music, bro. And like you're 27 living at your mother's house. Like,
Yeah, they'll download a free beat off YouTube and rap about getting money.
yeah, it's like, yo, like you post pictures and you're laying in a bunk bed right now. Like I can't fade this music, bro. And then like they're in the comment section. At least like, some of them are trying, like, but they all just spam like the same comment, like, honestly, does my music suck? And it's like, yes, it does. Like get some more clout and your music be better. Like you'll okay, if you spend okay, I see a lot of people say things like, oh, it's okay to have like an old this or that, or like, it's okay to put low effort into things. But like, no, as you get more resources, you should put more effort into things. So like it's weird to me, like as like I make more money, like why the heck would I go to like certain locations I used to go to when I was like, in a certain bracket? Like I went to this bar that I used to hang out at back in the day, and it was like a college bar or whatever. I went there like a couple weeks ago. It was the most awful thing ever. Like dudes are having dance offs in there and stuff. And it's like, bro, like no man in the history of being a man has ever like, came to a bar, won a dance off, and all the girls in there were like, that's an attractive man now. Like, no, like they both just danced themselves out of it. Like, there's no way. So like I was embarrassed to even be in there because I saw the phones come out and stuff, and I thought they were hype. Like, nah, dude, like you guys are like one of the dudes was wearing like a neon orange Adidas shirt with a neon orange hat, and it's like, dude, like you look like a traffic cone. Why are you dancing right now? Like, what's going on? And then like the other guy who I was talking to, like he was like telling me all this stuff, and like first of all, he was one of those dudes in the military. Like we have him where one of your friends, I'm not going to say his name, but like he came to your house one time. He wasn't really your friends. He did something for concert tickets or something like that. I don't know his name, but like uh yeah, he was like telling all these stories about when he was in the military. Then like it got down to he got kicked out like in basic training. Like, dog, you weren't really in the military, bro. You went to basic training and got injured out. Like, thanks for your time, I guess, but you really weren't in. But like,
Oh,
yeah, we had a dude, he was this guy's actually in, but like he, tried to like talk up his job and stuff. And then like I'm like, oh yeah, where you at? Cause I was stationed there. And then like he was like, yeah, I'm here. I'm like, oh, where do you work at? Cause like I did the same thing. And he was like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, so like what do you do? Like, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. And then we got down to it, and like he's this job that like they like fulfill the paperwork for people to fly and stuff, and like he was talking like he was Billy Badass, and then like it got down to like you fulfill the paperwork for to get people to fly, which I'm not going to talk down on someone's job, but like when you try to talk it up, and then like once we get down to it, it's like, man, like what are we really even talking about right now? Like, why are you trying to flex that hard? This guy, he invited me to a penthouse party, which nobody goes to penthouse parties except people who go to penthouse parties. Like, it doesn't sound exciting to. Does it sound exciting to you? Like, gonna go party in a penthouse with a bunch of random ass people?
I don't know. It
The
depends on the location. That's for sure.
It'd be fun with like a large amount of friends, maybe, and then maybe a couple randoms. But like, no, this he sent me like the little party text for it, which again, like that's a real like low, like I'm not coming to a party anymore that I get like a random like long 3 paragraph text about. Like, no, like the person who's throwing it can hit me up and I'll come to like a regular party. But yeah, like this shit said like $15 or something, throwing on the penthouse or bring people, and it's like, well, it was like bring girls, but like, yeah, like you want me to provide the entertainment, the for not the entertainment, but like other people for your party, like other no one wants to go to a party with a bunch of dudes, let's be honest. So like, yeah, you want me to bring
Yeah.
something that makes your party more interesting, like, and like pay for your penthouse. So like they're crowdfunding a penthouse, and like, yeah, there's still like people who are way too old hanging out in situations like this. Like, no, like I'm 27. I'm like, bro, I ended up like we bought a bottle in there, and it was awful, man. Like the bottle service was just, it was goofy. But yeah, like I ended up just getting up and leaving. Didn't say a word to anyone. Don't care if I see him again. Fuck it. Like I had to go, man.
Yeah, crowd. So it was a crowdsourced penthouse party. I would not attend. That's stupid.
Yeah, it's like you gotta like, up your network, up your access to things. Like a lot of people who are making a lot of money, like they didn't get that way overnight, and they use mentors. They had teachers. They have people who are helping them grow in each situation.
So the thing is with mentors, I think those are a very valuable asset that everyone should seek out. Do you have
Yeah.
a mentor?
In certain things, yeah. I mean, I'm not really working towards anything right now. I think like if we do decide, because I'm doing like two podcasts right now. So if we do decide to like grow these, like, yeah, I'm gonna need a mentor as far as like this online business sense and stuff like that for sure. But I had a mentor back in the day. I had mentors for like working out. I mean, I guess I listened to like some self help, and I read a lot of books and stuff about it, but I don't have like a personal one. No. How about you?
So I met this guy through my job. He actually taught me a bit more of selling and has helped me out a lot. It's a guy named Michael, and I the reason he's become a mentor to me is because I always check in with him about stuff, and he's actually going back to the topic of Grant Cardone earlier. He's actually given me some really good financial advice. I told him that I was looking to buy a house, and he first thing he said to me is, "No, no, 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 don't buy a house." And I'm like, "Why not?" He says, "Because you're literally going to be stuck to that for however long it takes to pay off the mortgage." And I'm like, "Well, I mean, I'm making enough money. Why wouldn't it make sense to invest the money in real estate? Especially in a location where I'm living, where cost of living is only going up." He's like, "Well, what you need to do then is if you're going to buy, you need to rent it out." And I'm like, "Really?" And he said the way to go up, because interest rates are historically low nowadays, it doesn't make any sense to put your money into a depreciating asset. And if you're going to buy real estate, it's the best to buy it and then immediately rent it out. That way, your mortgage is paid for and you are profiting off of it. Same thing with cars. Why have a $300 a month car payment for a car that's only going to go down in value? So the amount of money that you pay towards the car, no one else will pay that. While you can instead lease a vehicle. So that way, you pay the same amount, $300 a month. If anything goes wrong with the car, you're covered. And if you decide you don't want the car, you can give it back. You don't have to worry about selling it. Don't have to worry about, losing a profit off of it. And he said that's the best way to do it. Just borrow all this money, and then have that money work for you. So he'll give me advice like that, and I've what I'm planning on doing is when I buy my house or my townhome or my condo, whatever I can get my hands on out here because it's expensive, I'm planning on living there for 5 years roughly. After that, I'm thinking about getting it appraised and selling it so I can get a profit off of it. So that's the kind of mentor that I have right now, because if you want to
Are you
make
gonna
a
get
lot of,
roommates?
I'm thinking about it. Yeah,
Yo,
I'm thinking about.
I don't know about that. I got some crazy. I guess it's just Vegas, because like no matter what people say about like the quality of people in Vegas, no, there's some weirdos. They've grown up weird. They've grown up around gambling and drinking their whole life. Like it's not a good upbringing. So
You
yeah,
have any
like
good roommate stories?
I have a one of in my house right now. So I just got a house 8 months ago, 10 months ago, something like that. I just got a house in June of last year. So whenever people like find out of a house, they get weird about like how many bedrooms you got, just like prying questions like that. And like I'm not even gonna answer anymore. Like how many bedrooms you got? Nope, no. Because like then they start trying to. So many people have tried to move in, just like know them for an hour and they're trying to move into your house type deal. It's super weird because they're super serious about it. So I had this one guy who I met at a country bar, and he seemed cool enough. Like one time he did a photo shoot for me, and then another time, like he was hanging out with me and stuff. We followed each other on Instagram, but then like I posted 'cause, like one of my friends was I let one of my friends stay at my house before like he moved on somewhere from the military. So I posted like a little story like my roommate moved out, sad face, and this dude like responded like, "You need a roommate?" I'm like, no. And like I told him like, no, I don't need one. And then like he was like, please. And then like he ended up coming to this party I was at, and he was a real flaky dude too. So he'd always hit me up like with like he'd hit me up to hang out and stuff. And then like he was super flaky. So that's a big flag right there. But anyway, yeah, he came to this party and he was like, I only need 2 months to live there. And that's the reason I agreed to it. So I was like, all right, like 2 months is fine, but like, no, I don't want a permanent roommate at all. And then like he texted me about it again. He was like, blah blah blah, talking about it. I'm like, okay, you only need 2 months. And this guy said, I wasn't planning on moving out at 2 months. Like, oh yeah, that's another flag. Like you're the one that suggested it. So it was starting to like read like this guy is a very like, my way or the highway type of personality, but he had like no leverage in the situation. So it was just super weird. Like he was trying to talk his way into my house with no leverage. And then like every time
Yeah.
after that, like he would always hit me up and flake all the time. And I always like call him out. I'm like, bro, you kind of flaky. Like you kind of that's a weird trait to like hit someone up. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna like he'd invite himself to my house and then not show up. Like he'd be like, I'm gonna come around this time. Like, okay, I guess, cool, whatever. That man would not show up. I'm like, that's and you want me to enter in a business contract with you? 'Cause that's what a roommate is. That's a business contract. Like
Yeah.
at the end of the day, like I could live alone, but I'm choosing to live with other people to make more money. So it's like, that no, like why would I enter into it with that? And then like finally, like, yeah, he just flaked too many times. Oh, another thing was like he wanted 2 bedrooms. So like I have a 3 bedroom house. He wanted to rent 2 bedrooms. But I kept telling him no. And again, like he kept refusing. He was like, oh, I need a quiet place to work for work. I'm like, honestly, it seems like you're trying to move 2 people in my house without telling me. Like it was just all weird.
Yeah, that's really really odd. Now that you say it, I mean, I don't understand why he's trying to negotiate with having no leverage. Then on top of that, if he wants 2 rooms, what you could have done is just charge him double. So
Yeah,
I'm
no, he
guess
was he was willing to pay for 2 rooms, but at the same time, it's like, why? Because like he had this another time, like I got a couple crazy stories about this dude. I mean, several times, like 2 separate times they came up to my house, he told me I had nice skin, and that's the weirdest shit. Like, uh,
oh no no
yeah,
no
yeah, just like mid
no
conversation, he's just like, you got nice skin, you drink water, like, huh? Like that doesn't come out of a normal person's mouth.
hold up.
And then like he was at my house for like 15 minutes one time. And like again, like we are just chilling on the couch playing PS4 or something like that. And he's guy was like, I'm gonna lock your door. I'm like, don't lock the door in my house. Like what? Like you've been here for 15 minutes. Who's coming in right now? Like that's you don't just do that. Like you don't just get up and lock a door for no reason. Like
What
he's
the
just doing
fuck?
like weird, like, okay, if you're home for the day in your house, like you don't live here, man. Like don't be getting up and locking the door. Like that's it was super odd. What else? Oh yeah. So one time he was over, someone FaceTimed him and was like, "You still at Dion's house?" And I'm like, "Why does this person even know my name? Like, what's going on?" And then like, yeah, it's just
Was it a
weird.
girl?
Yeah.
Oh, some he might have been his girlfriend. He's like, hey, I'm going to my buddy Dion's house, and his girlfriend could have been real, where are you at? Are you at this person's house? You said, but I don't know.
Nah,
That's
nah, that
just
was
devil's advocate there.
it was weird too. Like it was just a lot of stuff that was just like adding up, and then like the flakiness thing is the worst because I'm just like I at the end of the day I would just be in it to get paid. So it's like if you're not gonna like show me that you can pay me, and especially with the whole mortgage lending thing, or not the whole like it's hard to kick someone out right now due to the pandemic. So like if you take
Yeah.
on a roommate right now, that's a big responsibility because there's like nothing you could really do right now. Even like before that, you had to give them like 30 days to get out, and then like they could, just squat on your stuff. So it's a big risk that, like, I'm not willing to take unless the person's like just chill. I'd rather have, like, your old roommate at your old place, like he just played video games all day. That'd be cool. Like, whatever. I'll take that.
Yeah, it's having roommates is tough, but at the same time, you can find good, reliable roommates
Yeah.
that will pay. If you have two roommates in a three-bedroom house, you charge one roommate half your mortgage, the other roommate half your mortgage. That's another source of income for you on top of the work you are doing. But
And then, so it's weird in Vegas too, because the rent's gone up so far in the last couple of years, but like the quality of people and the amount they're willing to pay for rent is not. So like you go in like these, because I always look at these roommate pages and stuff of like people seeking and people like, looking for, they're trying to pay like $300 for a room. Like, no, it's not worth it for me to live with you for $300. Number one, you're saying you can only afford $300, and again, it's not worth it for me to live with you because you're not making enough money to even like
not
live. Are you saying you can only afford $300? Like, no, you can't live here. Like, absolutely not.
No, absolutely no. I don't know where the hell $300 is going to get you anywhere.
Yeah,
honestly.
like that one. Like, if your parents were trying to charge rent, that's what they would charge you. Like, no, like,
Yeah.
absolutely not. And then like they always want to bring dogs and stuff. Like, oh, my pit bull is really nice. It's never attacked anybody. Like, get somewhere with a pit bull that's pit bull friendly then, because it's not here. Like, I put in the ad like, know this, know that, and then like people think like, oh, but my situation's different. Like, no, your situation's the same as everyone else's, and that's why people call it out. Like, no, your situation's not different.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I think if you're gonna, have a roommate, it should be someone, not your best friend ever.
Yeah, someone though.
Yeah, someone and you have a kind of a good grasp of who they are as a person. That's a lot better than just getting some random.
Yeah, that's definitely, like, I've never had a random roommate besides when they roomed us up in college. But like, yeah, uh, I've had like random like girls try to move in after like 2 dates or whatever, and they're serious. Like this last girl that I dated for like a month or so, she wanted to move in with her and her friend. So like she wanted to move in and she wanted her like best friend to move in. So they're like looking for a place to live. Like, what? Like, you think I'm gonna let you guys gang up on me in my own house? Like, what the heck is going on? Like, it's weird to have a home.
Yeah, that is really weird. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. I kind of the reason I'm buying is because I'm tired of living in an apartment. I need a bigger spot because my apartment is completely crammed right now. I have stuff everywhere, and I also want a yard.
Yeah.
Because growing up in the Midwest, man, those backyards, that's
yeah. A nice backyard used to be lit.
Yeah, so that's why I'm just deciding, what, screw this whole renting thing. Rent out here is probably the same price as a mortgage because the average rent in my city for a one bedroom is $1,600 a month. I'm paying a little bit under that. So if you're it doesn't make sense that if you're paying that much money to live, why?
Yeah, that's my mortgage for a 3-bedroom house is $1,500 and something.
Man, that's lovely.
Yeah.
You want a 30-year?
I think so. Pretty sure 30-year. I don't know. I don't really know as far as that is, but probably 30, honestly. But yeah, it was like a $300K house out here. What's the house cost in Colorado? What you about to get into?
Oh, so it's weird. So the average house in Colorado is $600,000. The median is $480,000. I'm looking below the median because I don't need like a giant single family home. I don't need a 3-bedroom house. I just need a bigger place that's well over 1,000 square feet. I have a little yard, hopefully a garage as well, and I'll be happy. But the thing is with out here, because the housing market is so competitive, every bid for a single family home is going well above asking price.
Yeah, like people are going like 50K. That's across the country, across the world. Like, it's some influence from like China's buying a lot of stuff out right now. Like this, and then like there's a lot of rich people who they're just getting richer, and they're like doing vacation rentals and stuff. That industry almost crashed during the pandemic, since like people like it's crazy like how much money people are making, and then like what they're doing with it is like it's making it hard for the average person to live. And then like, the average person, should be just happy and where they are, but it's hard to be happy when like you're getting crushed and like they're getting crushed at a faster rate now, and then like it's in your face every day with social media just how much you're getting crushed. It's nuts, man.
Yeah, it's definitely tough out there. But
But I mean, I think it'll be good for you. Yeah, you need more space, so you're getting more space, and it's going to be your space. So that's all you need. Like, and I'm sure you will be happy as long as Sometimes, like, I'll go to someone else's house and like, man, I wish my house had that. But it's like, man, I got my own house. Like, I know like that I got my own space. I can do whatever in here. I could pull out the mic and start karaoke, and I can just really do whatever with it.
exactly.
Yeah. And it's like that's what I got realized is like, you know, I may not have the best house, but I'm in a good area of the city that I wanted because I always wanted like, when I left work, it would be like 30 minutes home. And then whenever I wanted to go somewhere, it's like another 30 minutes there. And then like most of my friends lived in like this area of town too. So it's like, yeah, I was always traveling a lot. Now I'm centralized. I'm 15 minutes from like, the strip of Vegas and then like 20 minutes from Fremont Street. So yeah, I'm close to everything now. I'm in a new area of the city, meeting a lot of new people down there, and it's a lot younger area too. So the area I was at before was full of old people. So yeah, it's definitely you gotta look at it as like a holistic approach and all that.
Well, even that, I mean, with the Feds dropping the rates to historical lows, if you can buy right now, even though it is harder to buy, it's the best idea to
Yeah,
buy
I think
because
I hit it right before I think when I was buying like the little uptick was just starting. Like my house is going up in value, but like tens of thousands of dollars in the last 10 months. And then like
nice,
people are going to be bidding over the asking price too. Like I guess like 50K over the asking price. I
of
think we
course.
we talked down the price of my house by like $10,000. So yeah, it's the bubble hit fast.
Yeah, and depending on what area, I mean, there's always been this talk about the bubble bursting and all that, but
Yeah.
I feel like in the places that we live, that's not exactly going to be the case because more people are moving to Vegas than they are moving out. Here in Colorado, so many more people are moving to Colorado than moving out. That's going to drive
Yeah.
up the cost of living, and that's going to
Yeah.
work to your advantage if you're an owner. Because if
Yeah.
you want to sell, your property is going to get snapped up over asking price, and you just made a profit.
Yeah, I don't get like why people do that. They'll move to like the biggest, best cities, and like you gotta realize that okay, throughout time, I love to use history as an example. Throughout time, the biggest cities are gonna be the hardest places to live. Like society, people are alone by themselves. They don't have to deal with themselves. So you move to a big city, you gotta deal with all that. You gotta make the money to live there. You gotta do all that stuff. They come there with like no fire, and then like you're trying to move to a big market like New York City, like okay, good luck, good freaking luck. But yeah, a lot of people do that and then just get stuck, and then that's where they're at trying to get a $300 roommate and stuff. Like no, you made the wrong choice. Go home or make more money. Like come on, like you cannot move in my house. I'm not gonna deal with your $300 a month problems.
Yeah, exactly. It's tough. When people move to California, I've not visited California, but I'm planning on doing it later this year. Like the homeless population there, especially in the southern coastal cities, it's really bad because it's just so damn expensive to live there.
Yeah.
People have to really bundle together to survive out there, which, you know, you just think, why move out of California? Like clearly you can't live out there stably.
Yeah.
But nope, something just keeps them there. I don't get it. If I couldn't afford to live out here, I eventually would just dip out. But
Yeah.
it's not the case.
Yeah, you experience the time, living there, and like if you got to do that, that's cool. And like, hopefully you're enjoying your time there. Most of these people are living in these cities and they're not even enjoying it. Like it's the weird thing is like, years ago, before all this clout generation and stuff, like you would see all these like baddies and stuff, and like you think they're living life. But then like uh as I got older and like as I started hanging out with them more, like I go over to their places, like and it's like your mattress is on the floor, or you're like five deep in this place you're renting, like, and you all have like air mattresses. Like it's like, yo, you guys are, you know, why'd you even let me in here? and then like you're on social media like flexing like you got it. Like no, you need to get your life together. Like eventually like I think already like influencers are only a certain amount of people are paying the influencers. Otherwise, it's like, yeah, we don't care. Like uh, to go back to the protests, which we've been on forever. So like we talked about that like a long time ago, but there's like influencers going out to the protests and like, taking pictures and then leaving. Like that just put a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. And like, yeah, no one cares that you're an influencer. And then like, you're not paying $40 for a bed frame, but you're flexing on a Louis bag. Like, make it make sense. But that's a lot of what's going on right now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's pretty
Yeah, a lot
crazy.
of people's 30s are gonna be this awful. Like, you gotta
Yeah,
plan those routes for the future, and it's like, man, like I see people like 20, 21, morbidly obese, just like, man, like even if you don't have problems right now, you're gonna have problems in the future. Like, come on.
oh yeah, absolutely. It's crazy to think about. People make too many. I don't even want to call them risks. They make too many decisions that are a little bit too big. That's gonna, I guess, navigate them in one area of life, and they're not mature enough to make those decisions. Like
Yeah.
getting married before you turn 25 is just not a good idea for multiple reasons. You're too. It's like there used to be a meme. It's like getting.
Dang, connection got slow. Hold on. Hello?